Happy Thursday evening. Jeff, I was thinking about something just now. I had a thought while the standby was going on. Maybe having the show on when the Hall of Fame game is on. Probably not the best idea tonight, huh?
Was it preseason NFL thing?
Yeah.
The Hall of Fame game for the NFL?
Yeah, it starts tonight.
Nobody cares about that.
Starts tonight. I care. It's football. It is after tonight. Fine. We don't have another week without football until February, man.
AA's in the house already throwing hot takes.
God. Shut up. We're going to discuss that later.
He can't hold a candle to Diego Pavia, AA. He can't hang with Diego Pavia. Roll Tide, rerun, Roll Tide chat. What's up, Kyle?
You guys know the drill. Go let everybody know we're live. Tell them we're in here. Tell them they can watch preseason NFL another time. Lines back up, QB.
All you're watching is the college guys you just finished watching.
It's all right, man. It's football, dude. It's football. Stop crapping on them, Jeff. Jeez, let them enjoy football.
It is football. It is football.
Today, the last 48 hours have been pretty interesting. We're going to get into the Tank Jones talk. I know everybody wants to probably hit on that. Anthony Tank Jones out of St. Paul. We'll talk about that. Well, not yet, but we'll get there. We'll get there. Jeff, you're frozen, or maybe I'm frozen. Who knows? Okay, we're gonna drop. Oh, there he is. He's back. Hey, Jeff.
Somebody's frozen. We're all frozen.
Everybody's frozen. Let it go.
Yeah. We're having some freezing issues.
Anyway, we're gonna talk about that in just a little bit. Jeff, we got a special guest.
Cold summer.
Ice cold.
We do have a special guest tonight. She'll be joining us shortly. Our good friend Joy, massive LSU, unhinged LSU fan, founder of the SEC Pretty Hats that you see me wearing. Things are actually pretty cool. So,
as a man, I would wear that hat. I would wear that hat. I mean,
clearly I'm the obvious candidate to wear it. I mean, right? Yeah. I mean, right?
You are pretty.
Sure, she'll be on here and be like, "Can you take that hat off, please? I'm trying to sell them.
Really bad for business.
Tank my business.
Really bad for business.
I just started this business. Could you not throw it in the garbage? Thank you."
Harbin Raj, I'm sorry, but we're going to talk about Tank Jones.
Yeah. We have to talk about this kid.
We have to. Reason. Kyle's over it already. Everybody's over it. Let's go ahead and just start talking about it. And get
over Tank.
Eric, we're about to let's bring it up. Let's talk about what the happened. My gracious, in a recruitment that has seemingly been all over the place. And I challenge you all to go check out the RPMs for Anthony Tank Jones on 3. It's pretty crazy. His leader changed about 11 times in the past year, ultimately ending with him committing to Oregon today. For a long time, it bounced back between Alabama, Auburn, all over the place. And it ends with a trio of Alabama, Texas A&M, Oregon. It was Alabama for a while. A&M starts to get some heat, and then Oregon comes in swooping in the last minute. We all know what this is. Gelato, thank you for the donation. We'll bring that up there.
Thank you. Yes.
Well, I don't know anything about Phil Knight getting on the phone with Tank Jones, but I will say, I mean, it is completely obvious that money is involved in this, but money is involved in a lot of these recruitments, even these Alabama guys, some of these 5-star Alabama guys that we have. Oregon, Alabama now tied with with 4 5-stars. Technically, Alabama has 5. A lot of agencies have Xavier Crowell as a 4-star, but he's a 5-star. He'll be a 5-star when it's all said and done. But this one was rough, man. This one was a rough one to follow. It was just, it was all over the place. Things were changing quickly. There's a lot of philosophies here. Some Alabama fans feel like that Tank tried to kind of start a bidding war. I don't necessarily know.
It's possible.
It's possible. Like that. But I don't know. I'm not buying it, man. I feel like, yes, the money is there, but also you start looking at playing time. Oregon was probably offering early play time. Alabama was going to be a little bit more of a struggle for him.
Yeah.
In that sense. Same thing with probably Texas A&M. Now Tim Watts, Andrew Bone, late last night on the board, they were, trying to put Alabama fans at ease. And I think it was Watts that said it, but basically that Bama ended up walking away from the table.
Right here. Lakers in 5.
Attack of the Clones.
Bama by Hundy.
That Bama
Star Wars reference, Raj.
I know, I like it. That Bama ended up walking away from the table. Now the word is that Bama whiffed on this. In a way you could say they did, but look, some of these schools are not going to compete with the money that Texas is tossing around, the money that Texas and Oregon are tossing around. And that's
Truth.
Okay. It's okay because you look at what Alabama has in their class right now. If Alabama had 30 recruits committed verbally right now, like USC or Georgia does, they would have the number 1 class in the country. They don't have to have any more 5-stars. We could, what do we have? 21 commits right now. You could tack on 9 more 3-stars and Alabama would have the number 1 class in the country. We're really talking depth over numbers here. And as long as the school's recruiting their position of need, I personally feel like edge was a very important position for Alabama this year, but more along, the defensive line as well. But here's the thing, and Eric has brought it up. Guys, it is July 31st. Tomorrow is the dreaded August 1st that Auburn fans have been yapping about for months. It's July.
What are we going to do? Might be a bad day tomorrow.
We got a long way to go till December. I think 126 days till early signing. I'm not saying that Tank is going to flip his commitment. I do believe he's somebody that you definitely want to watch as fall goes on. I just feel like I don't necessarily know. I don't like the term whiff when we're talking about today's recruiting. And this would go, if it was the other way around, I don't know that I would call it.
You can't call it. until they've played and their career is over. Then you can say, ooh, we whiffed on that one.
That, and it's basically you're getting outbid. You know what I mean? Like every time Auburn misses on a recruit, I post and say they whiff, but that's mostly just to piss off Auburn fans and to farm engagement, and it works. But I mean, like if Tank were to have picked Alabama this morning verbally, I wouldn't have said that Oregon whiffed. I mean, honestly,
right.
You know, a lot of this has to do with bidding. A lot of it has to do with what he feels like is best for him. Not everybody wants to play in their home state.
Right.
You know, there were guys under Nick Saban from Alabama that went and played other places. There are guys that are from the state of Georgia that Kirby Smart's striking out on. There's guys all over. There's guys in Oregon that Dan Lanning's striking out on. It's just the way it is nowadays. This is a new age of recruiting, and folks kind of gotta get used to it. It's not. This isn't 15 years ago,
right? And these are no better than 1-year deals. This dude could very well be in the market next year. This time next year, we might be talking about how Bama just landed Tank Jones from the portal.
Yeah, exactly. It's funny, dude, because I was having a conversation with somebody today who doesn't. They're new to the college football scene, and I kind of been talking to him about stuff like this. And I was talking to him about
this.
Is
it a baby?
No, somebody
that's talking to somebody's a newborn.
You're just not from the SEC, and but we were kind of talking about this, and the comment that I got was, well, it seems like it's a let me go get paid situation, and maybe I just jump in the portal later on. And I'm not saying that's going to happen by any means, any stretch. Maybe it was Oregon from the beginning since his visit, but
very well could have been.
When you listen to what he said about the relationships and growing up an Alabama fan, it's his dream school. It's where he's always wanted to play. It's hard. But here's the thing, to say that nowadays that a recruit is, necessarily I don't want to say a bad person, but to insinuate that because they chased a bag somewhere else, that's modern day recruiting. And if you can't stomach that and deal with it, it's best not to follow it anymore. Because the days of kids just staying home because it's home, in most cases, are over. They're going to go chase a bag. This is twice in a row. Alabama, the state of Alabama, Auburn and Alabama have struck out with the number one player in their class from their state. Last year, it was Naeem Offord to where? Oregon. This year, it's Anthony Tank Jones. I don't think Anthony Tank Jones is the best player in the state of Alabama. I think it's Sadaria Morgan, who is committed to Alabama. But it's going to happen. Xavier Griffin, yes, strong Alabama ties, but his backyard is Georgia. His backyard is Georgia. He winds up at Alabama. That's just how this cookie crumbles nowadays.
It'll be okay.
But again, 126 days until we start signing papers. We got I almost said baseball. We got football to play. We are a few days removed from the season.
All of it.
Fall camp has just started. A lot of things are going to change. A lot of things are going to change in the coming weeks. So, chat, tell me.
We'll be fine. We'll be fine.
Tell me how you're feeling about this. I mean, let's be honest with ourselves. Let's be open. This is a safe space. AA's in the comments, but that's okay.
They know the deal, though. They know what they're jumping into sometimes.
Yeah.
When they come up in here, they know. They cool.
And I agree with Gelato. I think money was the biggest motivating factor here. I do. But I don't think we can look at that and frown on it anymore. We can't act like Alabama's not playing the NIL game too. They absolutely are. And I'm just going to go on record and say it. This is just Cotton's thoughts. I personally think for anybody who wants to insinuate that Bama wasn't paying players something or with some kind of incentive under Nick Saban, you're
dude, they all drove brand new Dodge Chargers conveniently from the Nick Saban Dodge dealership. It's not.
I remember going to the athletic building one day, and there's just a ton of Dodge Chargers in the parking lot during football practice, and I'm like, that's interesting.
I mean, come on.
They all got the same car.
That just tells you what they thought the NCAA. They're like, what are you going to do about it?
Yeah.
What are you going to do about it? Go ahead.
Hey,
I'm putting them out in the parking lot for you to see.
Listen, how old is Phil Knight? Somebody tell me how old Phil Knight is. He ain't gonna be around for long, man. Just relax. Length and girth, baby. Oh, man.
That's what I heard.
So good for sound bites. Hugh Freeze. Gosh.
Oh, Hung Freeze, man. That guy's a one of one.
I feel like Freeze, he understands his reputation in the minds of like rival fan bases, and he just says stuff so that they'll jump on it.
He like plays into it.
Yeah, I think he does.
Coach of the year, AA knows.
A coach of the year. Yeah,
so SEC coach of the year this year.
Get out of here. I'll tell you guys this. Back to the.
I don't know if I agree with that, but
back to the Oregon stuff. I will tell you, this season, neither Texas nor Oregon will win a national championship. Guess what's not going to happen next season? Neither Oregon nor Texas is going to win a national championship. Why? Because you cannot. I'm going to say it again. I'm going to say it loud for everybody in the back. Let me back up from the mic. You cannot build long-term success with NIL as your primary recruiting tool. It attracts people who don't want to work as a galvanized unit to your locker room. It's not good. Ask Florida State. Okay, I'm done. Hey, Chris enjoyed the Ole Miss drill video. Chris. That's why he's not here.
I gotta tell you, Ole Miss social media that takes some coolions to post that with a straight face.
Pretty sure Lane Kiffin's running that show.
I mean, that was
he
awesome.
Saw it and was like,
that was too easy. That was just too easy. It's like low hanging fruit.
That's why Chris isn't here tonight. Chris is at home watching that video on repeat by himself
on the loop
in the dark.
Hello, chat. Where's everyone tonight?
Yeah, I guess everybody's watching
everybody's watching the all the guys that are going to be selling insurance in 2 weeks play football tonight.
What if I told you guys you have multiple screens in your house? Okay, well, all right. This is a good point, and I covered this in a video.
It helps everyone. Yeah,
it did help them, but Ohio State used it supplementally. They didn't use it to build their roster. They didn't use it to recruit the people that they brought in. The majority, I mean, they did get a lot of SEC talent from the transfer portal. They certainly did. I'm not going to pretend like they didn't. They did have a $20 million roster, absolutely. But the bulk of their roster, the bulk of their playmakers outside of Caleb Downs and Quinton Judkins and Will Howard were guys that they recruited themselves and built relationships with.
Kept them home.
Ohio State, and I hate Ohio State, absolutely hate them, but they've got it figured out.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have to go spend $45-50 million to have the number one roster every year like Texas is trying to do, like Oregon's trying to do, because it's not going to breed long-term success.
And for programs, you can't sustain that either.
Yeah. And for programs that aren't that aren't those folks that are trying to do it and keep up with the Joneses, they're blowing their wads and they're screwed. Auburn. So, I mean, there's a reason Auburn's sitting where they are right now compared to where they were last season. The August 1st thing is a cope because they blew. They blew through a lot of money last season. They finished with a top 10 class. Not so much this year. Here, my philosophy is that Oregon can spend $75 million on this roster if they want to, but if they don't have it together in the locker room, it's not going to work.
It's not going to work.
The problem is when you bring in a bunch of guys that are chasing bags instead of chasing that brotherhood, chasing the idea of defining their craft, the iron sharpens iron, getting better. They're running from competition potentially. If you aren't bringing in those kind of guys, you don't get that certain level of grit, that certain level of adversity. There's something that kind of brings your unit together. You don't get that because those folks are looking at themselves over the team. That's why a lot of people don't watch the NFL. They don't watch professional sports for that reason, because they feel strongly that the influence of that kind of money, that substantial amount of money, really impacts the product on the field. So that's why I'm correct. And that's why I'm so high on Alabama this year, is because you can kind of feel that going through the spring, through the summer, now into fall camp, that galvanization that we're talking about, that brotherhood feeling. You can feel it. This team has it together. But
I would agree.
I mean, it is what it is.
Getting there. Yeah. Getting there. In there, but you can't. But you're right. You can't sustain it at $50 million a year and increasing every year. You can't sustain that. You can't keep asking your fans for more money to sustain it. You got to. There's got to be something. I just don't, because it's not gonna even off. It's just gonna keep growing every year.
Yeah,
and pay more and more every year.
There's only a handful of schools that have figured out how to do it the right way: Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State, and the final one, in my opinion, is LSU.
Yeah.
Speaking of which,
that's a good transition as we happen to have somebody in the green room. It's a bit of an LSU fan.
Maybe we should bring him on.
LSU Superfan, Dailey Joy, might we add? We're going to swap these around.
There we go.
Joy.
Hi, guys.
Good evening. Nice
great.
hat.
Yeah,
that's a lovely hat you're wearing.
I didn't get the memo. No one told me.
So those you don't know, this is our friend Dailey Joy. She's a massive unhinged LSU fan. That's why we love her. She's just started this business with these hats that I'm wearing. Obviously, I'm the best model for one, clearly.
Wow.
You are SEC pretty, Jeff.
Yes. Amen. So she's got all the schools. Don't you have all the schools in now? Did you have them in the shop now?
Yeah. Yes, I believe. I think I'm missing Ole Miss and Tennessee, but you're welcome, Alabama, for being delayed on Tennessee.
Nobody wants them anyway.
Yeah, only because both hats for those two schools are back ordered. But I'll get on. They'll be on the site next week. They're
cool.
But 14 of 16 SEC schools are available.
Yeah. Nice. Tell them where they can find that.
Yeah,
www.secpretty.com. I understand that we are pretty and we are not always the smartest, so I'm making this as easy as possible.
Hold on. I'm about to bring this up. I want to.
He's going to. Well said. Well said. The hats are cool, though. I got me one here that I told her she'd get it to me by the show Thursday. I'd wear it. It was on my doorstep. Was it today? Yeah, it was today. So
yeah, overnight delivery. Thank God.
Overnight, man. I appreciate that. They're awesome hats, though. They're really cool looking. Even the school colors that we don't like, they're still pretty cool looking.
Thank you so much.
I guess Jeff didn't tell you. I kind of run this show, and so thanks, Jeff. Appreciate that. Thanks for my SEC hat. Do you have one that says SEC mid? That would work for me.
That would work, right?
What's so funny is I've gotten asked a lot, are you going to do SEC handsome? That's a conversation that I've had a lot. And I'm like, I don't know if y'all realize the stereotype of SEC couples, but the stereotype is that the girl is very pretty and the man is not. So I don't know if
how it works.
Handsome is the compliment that y'all are thinking that it is.
Hey, I think pretty is quite the good compliment.
I will not be doing SEC handsome, but if a man wants to wear SEC,
thank you, Kat.
I'm all for it.
See, it's not that bad. I'm 100% confident in my masculinity that I can walk around this hat.
Yeah, I might have you take some pictures for the website here.
We'll do it. Put
it right on
the timeless art. Like Costanza and Kramer. Little Seinfeld reference for those of you old enough to know what that is.
Well, what I've seen you popping up all over X lately. You and then University Traditions, who we're good friends with. The hat, I'm a hat guy. I've got 150 of them in my closet, and so
I'm looking at 8 of them right here.
Yeah, and so it's really good. I mean, it's a good product. I love the SEC pretty because, like you said, the stereotypical SEC girl. It doesn't really matter where you go in the Southeastern Conference.
Exactly.
If it's wintertime, they're going to be wearing the Han Solo boots with the sleeveless, jacket. Absolutely. Maybe a big wide brim hat. Who knows? So,
no doubt.
But
where did this idea come from?
Yeah, that's a good question.
So I actually saw a TikTok that someone sent to me. And it was a girl, and she was hammered out of her mind, and she was in, I believe, LA. And she's like, I want, Herb, I saw your order come through today. Thank you. They said, she's like, I know that people always talk about like a Los Angeles 10 or a New York 10. She's like, or a Miami 10. And she's like, have y'all seen girls in the South. She's like, the SEC girls, she's like, I don't want to be a New York 10. I don't want to be an LA 10. I want to be an SEC 10. I want to be SEC pretty. Like, that's what I want to be. And obviously, we always hear, like, that girls in the South are the prettiest. If you look at who has won Miss America and Miss USA the most, it's pretty clear where the pretty girls live and reign. And so that person sent me that TikTok and was like, you are SEC pretty. And I was like, oh, my God, thank you. And then it became this whole conversation, and we would always kind of joke, like, about the SEC pretty thing. And so I put it on a hat. I had one just made for just me, and I wore it around the College World Series. And the amount of people that stopped me and were like, where can I buy that hat? And I was like, okay, I'll just like send them to where I got it. And like after like the third or fourth person, I was like, you're an idiot if you send these people to buy from someone else, like when you could just sell them yourself. So
it was born.
Yeah, no, literally. So I went to the championship celebration afterwards with the team, and a couple former LSU baseball players came up to me and wanted to buy the hat. And that's when I was like, I said, I will give you the hat if you'll just promote it. Like if you'll just sell it.
Yeah, of course.
Instagram story. So I ordered 12 and sent, I think 3 to those guys. They posted it, and within like, I think like an hour, all the hats I had bought were sold out. And I had made enough of a profit to be like, okay, this is going to be something. And yeah, so it just took off from there.
That's
and now
awesome.
Now it's blown up to the point that I'm so overwhelmed that I just am all gas and no brakes and not thinking about what I'm doing.
You're about to have to hire some staff now.
Yeah, if I think about it, I'll freak out. So I just don't know.
That's fantastic though.
Thank you.
When one of our co-hosts gets back in the country, he's going to be looking for a job. So if you need somebody, we'll send him our way.
Okay,
he's about 86, so he works at a slow pace, but he can get the job done.
Okay, I just really need him to deal with customers because I'm not patient with people.
That's right.
That's okay. I get it. Me neither. All right.
That's right.
Now we got to do it. You're a big time LSU fan.
Yes.
I'm just going to come straight out and ask you, Joy, I don't understand. And how does LSU go from empty coordinator box against Alabama at home, 42-6, to now this preseason hype around Nussmeier, around what happened? Like what changed? Convince me.
First of all, I can't convince you because I myself am not convinced.
Oh.
So one thing about me that I feel like I get crap on in the LSU circles is I am fiercely realistic.
Fair.
Always have been, always will be. That comes with being called a fair weather fan. That comes with being called you're a hater. And I'm like, no.
Oh,
did you all watch the same film that I watched? Like,
thank you.
That game, like, I don't understand how y'all are like this. I do think there's a couple things that LSU did really well in the offseason that transfer portal is absolutely one of them. That I understand, like, some of the hype. I don't understand the media darling of it all, if I'm being honest. I understand thinking that quarterbacks that have played for 2 years at LSU have done historically well. It's hard not to look at Joe Burrow and Jaden Daniels and say somehow Garrett Nussmeier is going to like digress. That's something that you think. I see the comments about the wide receiver room. If there's a position at LSU that I have not and will not ever be worried about, it is wide receiver.
That's fair. That's
fair.
That's
because they don't have Chase and Jefferson to help them out. And before that, it was, they don't have Landry and Beckham to help them out. Like the narrative that LSU, I don't know how you watch the NFL on Sundays and believe that there's a school that knows how to produce wide receivers any better than LSU.
Hard to argue.
No, I agree with it. There's been 3 of them in the past 10 years. Bama, Ohio State, and LSU have kind of been the premier in terms of.
Correct. I think there's some schools that compare, but like the idea that LSU's somehow going to struggle at the wide receiver position is you're going to really have to have some down years to convince me that that's a position where they're going to struggle.
Sure.
So I'm not super worried about that. I do think Nussmeier is going to improve. Now, what does improvement look like? I hope it's less picks. I hope it's smarter decisions in the pocket. But this idea that he's like the front runner for the Heisman and he's going to like have this insane year and he's going to play near perfect. I'm not convinced of that.
Yeah. I've been pretty vocal that I don't understand. I don't understand where that's coming from. My concern with LSU, and I'm gonna take the goggles off and look at it, outside of an Alabama fan perspective here. It's the offensive. It's the offense. In a minute, I'm not.
I know exactly.
It's the offensive line. Like I'm concerned about that. A quarterback. It doesn't matter who the quarterback is. Bryce Young at Alabama. Dude, probably one of the best, maybe the second best quarterback we've ever had at Alabama. Never won a national championship as a starter. Why? Because he had terrible offensive lines. So, that's my concern when it comes to LSU, watching them. And then obviously that defense, especially that run defense, need to see some really big progression there. So
the transfer portal class was phenomenal. I think Blake Baker year 2 gives you a little bit more elevation on the defensive side of the ball. You also brought in some dogs that have been on your historical defensive runs previously. They're now back on your staff. Yeah. So I do expect the defense to be significantly better. This was the first time Blake Baker really got to dig into the transfer portal. He got most of the say. I do think that your defense is going to drastically improve. I agree with you. My number one concern on this entire team is offensive line. I don't know how you replace the level of talent that you lost heading into the league. The games are won and lost in the trenches. I do not care how pretty the game has gotten. That is and always will be the most important.
Bingo. 100%.
And so, yeah, I wholeheartely agree with you. The offensive line makes me nervous. And as much as we've talked about Garrett Nussmeier and his ability to do and be, if you were throwing those picks out of pressure and you had the offensive line that you had last year, I am a wee bit concerned that he's going to be in very similar situations this year, maybe even more frequently. How does that translate into your ability to throw passes that are catchable by your own teammates?
Absolutely.
So, I agree with you. I'm not going to sit here and paint a pretty picture for you. I am also have those concerns.
I appreciate that. I do. I mean, that's just, and it's not even, it doesn't even come from a place of a rivalry. I try to look at it analytically, and it's just hard to digest and go, where's that going to come from?
Absolutely.
If you make that statement about Ohio State, who's probably returning the best offensive player in the country, sure, okay, I can see it. But you're only as good as what you did last season until
no doubt. I am also not a preseason hype girl.
You sound like speaking my language. Oh yeah, God,
I'm just not. Everyone's like, I looked at my dad tonight, and he was like, "Yeah, Penn State's good," and I was like, "No one's good.
No, they're not.
No one's good. Nobody's played a game yet.
I'm like, we don't know who's good
in preseason,
including our Lord and Savior Arch Manning. I'm like, can we just stop? Like,
right? The best quarterback ever. The SEC's ever seen Arch Manning.
Game. I'm begging y'all.
She said it. Thank you so much. I cannot stand Paul Feinbaum and how hype he is around Arch Manning. I'm like, just explain to me why. Like, tell me why.
Down.
But
his last name. That's the only reason.
Oh, I know. I know. And that's what's so frustrating about it. Because you're like, I don't
screaming. I was like, if his name was Arch Johnson, we would not be having this conversation at all. No.
If he was so good, why didn't he play last season?
Genuinely.
Seriously.
He sat behind Quinn Ewers. Although I'm hearing we're having the same conversations about Ty and Milroe, but different situation.
Yes.
I think, you didn't have a brand new incoming
year one coach, versus, year 3 coach with a fat new contract. So
no doubt about it.
Well, DJ, what's your realistic outlook for LSU this year? Like, I mean, let's talk wins and losses. Like, what do you think?
Oh, that's so hard. I it's tricky. I see probably 2 to 3 games on our schedule you could drop or you could win. I think, I'm just going to be honest with you. I'm less concerned about the schedule. I am most concerned about the record, which historically speaking has not always been the way that I've handled things.
Yeah.
But Brian Kelly has to make the playoff this year. Like, this is not a debate or discussion for the LSU fan base, it might be, and you're going to have do y'all cuss on this podcast? I should have asked before.
Just don't drop the F word. You're good.
Okay, no problem. You're going to have every dipshit in the world being like, well, I don't like Brian Kelly. Like, I hated him when he was at Notre Dame, and so I still hate him. No. I'm like, okay, first of all, like, you hating him doesn't matter. Like, it's irrelevant to the actual game of football.
Sure.
You have to like him. I don't like him. I have not kept that a secret. If you search Brian Kelly on my Twitter account, you ain't gonna see one nice thing really that I said. But
I'm not his biggest fan either.
But with that being said, like, I would be a moron not to look at what he did in the offseason, pouring $1 million of his own money into the NIL fund so that they could get more players. Like, I don't care what anyone says. Bryce Underwood going to Michigan was probably the best thing that ever happened to the LSU football program. He has every piece in play to make the offseason. But I'm not okay if you lose 3 games. I still think you can make the playoff and lose 3 games. But 2 is my maximum for you, bro. Like, I don't want to lose more than 2 games. That's my opinion. I'm not saying he can't make the playoff if he loses 3. I still think he can. I also am like, we're saying all these, there's all these hypotheticals of like SEC schools can make it if they lose 3 games. Well, how many SEC schools are we talking that are going to lose 3 games? And what do the other conferences look like? Because they've now shown that like we're not the darling that we think we are. Let's just call it what it is. They're willing to include other schools from other conferences, regardless.
Yeah.
And so I just think that, like, as an LSU fan and as a fan, like, you're talking a lot of stuff. You're saying a lot of things. I don't care who you're saying it to. It's the year of our Lord 2025. It's all going to get leaked anyway. If you're talking like that, you better have the balls to back it up, because the last coach I remember talking like this was talking about someone getting beat up in a sissy blue shirt, and he proceeded to get his butt kicked by UCLA on the field. So I need you to
shout out to Coach O.
Your energy matches the team that you're producing.
Go Tigers.
So Kat brings up a good point, and this has been kind of a sore spot for LSU fans. The opener, the record in the openers, and LSU starts off with a bang.
Brian Kelly special right here.
Dud. Clemson, right? Is that correct? Yeah. So let's just assume everybody's right about Clemson. I'm not sold on that either, but Clemson is just going to be this juggernaut and return. It's 2016 again. And Kelly drops one there. Like, what's your outlook on the rest of the season? Is it a wash? I don't think it defines your season in any way, shape, or form. That is one thing that the expanded playoff has given us, is that it used to be one game and then you were all panicking, and you almost
I miss those times though.
Yeah, no, I kind of agree with you, but I remember, like, and here's the deal: if you were going to drop one game, it was better to do it in the season opener.
Early better than later.
Yeah, no one ever wants to talk about that. But I'm like, no. It was always better if you lost early, and then you just got significantly better as time went on, because the committee was a whole lot more forgiving of an early season loss.
Bingo.
They're now even more forgiving of an early season loss. So it is not make or break for your playoff chances if you lose to Clemson.
Okay.
What it is going to do is, we always say that our coach is always on the hot seat. The only thing that changes is the temperature, and your temperature vastly increases. There's only so many season openers you can lose. And this is the only time I'll ever say this. So if someone wants to, like, get ready to video record, you should. The one part about the season opener narrative that I do tend to feel a little bad for on Brian Kelly is that the ones that O set up poorly are almost getting, like, lumped in all together with the Brian Kelly scenario. And I'm like, those aren't on him.
Yeah.
He inherited a complete dumpster fire. So sure. I'm not his biggest fan, but if we had a likable coach, the narrative would be different. But because people don't like him, it's easier to just lump that all together, and it's all his fault.
Why do you think that is? Do you think that's because he's just not a Southern guy? He just, I mean,
Brian
Kelly's kind of
he can people in general or LSU fans?
LSU fans. I mean, we don't like Brian Kelly because Brian Kelly killed a kid, but no, LSU fans, they're like, I mean, I've heard, you're not the only person I've said that. That's obviously being critical of Brian Kelly and his record and what he produces on the field, but being critical of him just in general as a person and a coach. That's interesting that LSU fans feel that way. So just curious.
I think for me, it's a combination. I didn't love him at Notre Dame. I thought, but I will say this. I've learned to give him a little bit of grace because I think he kind of had this idea at Notre Dame that he had to be this like uptight, like we're in the Midwest and Notre Dame's this good old Catholic school. And like,
sure.
Brian Kelly is still he's still one of those older school coaches. We have this new wave of young coaches that come in, and it's kind of understood that they're going to show their personality because Lane Kiffin has now made that allowed, and that's something that we're doing now.
You're not wrong.
Shout out Lane.
Yeah, shout out Lane. And so I think that we've seen we've seen a shift in the way that college football coaches are acting and the way they're treating media and the way they're treating their players and all of those kinds of things. And I think Brian Kelly was so used to being like the uptight, like northern guy at the fancy schmancy Notre Dame school. And then he came to Baton Rouge, and as much as everyone wants to clown the guy for like the accent and the dancing and stuff, I'm not so sure that the man isn't just like, wow, I'm finally allowed to have a personality, and it's cringy because we've just never seen it. Like it looks like, oh, he's just a wannabe and he's trying to fit in. And I'm like, those aren't the way, like, if you obviously haven't spent any time in the state of Louisiana, if you think that that's the way that you fit in with us, all you have to do is tell us that our food's good and that you drink. And we're like, you're in for life, buddy. But that's
go Tigers in there and you're on a Christmas card.
Literally. I mean, genuinely. And then you beat Alabama year one. Sorry.
Oh, yeah.
But like he's done some things to win some favor. I do think that there's still those people. We forgive a lot if you just win.
Yeah.
Winning cures it all.
It does.
For everyone, for every school. That's a narrative that goes across conferences and everything else. And I think there's just this idea that you were sold that he was a winner. I always, when we hired him, didn't like the hire because I was like, won where?
Yeah.
And they're like, well, he's won all his career. And I'm like,
he ain't won nothing.
I've seen him in the playoff a couple times. It hadn't worked out too well for him.
Yeah. Well, I think people forget, especially Alabama fans, I'll be honest, because of how their national championship run went under Nick Saban. Like they were pretty consistently in the race. Yeah. LSU wasn't as consistent, but people forget that they had a ton of success national championship wise during that reign too. If they weren't winning it, they were playing for it.
Yes.
And so, I think people kind of forget that sometimes. And then also I'm of the thought, like you brought up Lane Kiffin. A lot of people don't like Lane Kiffin. He rubs them the wrong way. I think he's great for the sport. I think that soap opera drama that he brings is good, but LSU has had two guys pre Brian Kelly that were very similar to that. Les Miles. At Les Miles, I couldn't stand the dude when we were playing him, but at the same time, the ridiculous stuff that he, eating the grass, the goofy clap, and then Ed O is just bigger than life itself, and so and then you get Brian Kelly from Indiana. It just
Eddie O blowing that gig is sucked because he was like he was the perfect LSU.
He was
coach.
The guy. Yeah.
He was the guy. Just
I also think it's hard. I feel bad for Brian Kelly because you're following the guy that we all wanted to be the guy.
Yes.
We wanted Ed O to have that historical run. We wanted him to continue to build national championship caliber teams because he was one of us.
Yes.
Les had a personality, but Les was a jerk. Like, I don't think.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Like, there's not a person on earth that I really despise more than Les Miles. Like, if I saw him on fire, I would not throw water.
I would keep driving.
Not stand the man.
We'll piss on fire to put him out.
So here's the deal. Yeah, like you were funny and you were disingenuous and you pretended to be something that you weren't.
Cost us several national championship opportunities.
Well, that because you were too busy hiding all of your indiscretions in your closet and didn't actually care. Anyways, I could go off on a tangent on that one. I worked for the man. I cannot stand him. So yeah, no, he could rot. But yeah, we wanted Edo to be the guy. And it was the way he went out. It felt very embarrassing to the university. It felt very embarrassing to the program. It felt like the highest of high and then the lowest of low in an overnight situation. And I think LSU fans are burned from that, if I'm being honest. And I think as much as the Brian Kelly, there was the big question of the culture fit. I really don't care. Our culture should be winning. So I don't really give a crap about the rest of it. If you can win, that's what I care about. I don't care if everyone else in the world hates you. If you're winning and you don't fit our culture, I don't care. I don't care.
Just win.
But he needs to win is really what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. He's going to lose. He's going to lose you a game or two that you should win. That's just the Brian Kelly mantra. He'll win you a game that you weren't supposed to win, and then he'll lose you one or two that at the end you're like, how the hell did we lose that team?
Yeah.
That's just the Brian Kelly mantra, and I think that y'all are going to lose a game or two this year that you shouldn't have.
Yeah, I do too. I think
that's just the Brian Kelly way, in my opinion. Now, maybe he'll shock me. Maybe this is the year that everything kind of lines up. But I don't trust him.
If he can't do it with this roster, it's one of the most talented rosters he's ever had. And if we're being honest, probably one of the best staffs he's ever had.
Right.
So if you can't do it now, I really doubt your ability to do it at all.
No more excuses now. It's
no, he has none.
It's got, like you said, he's got to win.
Yeah, he was the one that bowed up and said, "Judge me at year 3." I did judge you. It was freaking atrocious. We're in year 4 now, buddy.
Yeah,
and, I'm gonna need some.
I'm gonna need some substance here.
Yeah, you're over here talking about I'm keeping receipts. We'll see you in the national championship. You better hope you're there because I got my receipts and I will come through.
So DJ, what's your threshold? What record are you like? Okay, that's enough. He's out. Is it if they don't make the playoff? Here's
the problem with that. My threshold doesn't matter because it goes back to me being realistic and me knowing that we don't have the money to buy him out, even if he loses 7 games.
And there may not be a decent replacement.
You're not going to lose 7 games. I would say if you lose 4, I'm pissed. I'm ready for you to go.
Oh, I'm with you, man.
Yeah,
he goes 9-4
this year. I'm going to
mainly because I talk more crap about Texas A&M 8-4 University than anybody else on planet Earth. So do not put me in the same division as them, or I am personally coming for you.
I'm coming for you.
But it's just I cannot take 4 losses. I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I can take not winning a natty. Hear me. I can take not winning a natty. I can take just making the playoff.
That's my philosophy this year.
I need you to prove that you're capable of producing a team and coaching a team that can get there. That's what I need from Brian Kelly right now. I'm not the playoff now. I'm just going to say it because no one else will say it. It's too damn easy to get into for you to have a roster and caliber, staff of these magnitudes, and you not make it. So if you don't make the playoff, I have major issues with you this year. And I think that would be you losing 4 games because I do think a 3-loss team gets in.
Yeah. Yeah. I think if you lose 4 games, he's got to go. If you lose 4 games in year 4, I was thinking he should have been canned after the Jaden Daniels Heisman season when he went 9-4 with Kyron Lacey, Brian Thomas, and Jaden Daniels. Rest in peace, Kyron Lacey, but still.
I will never forgive Matt House. I
don't understand how you could lose 4 games with that offensive squad. Even if your defense was trash, you can't lose 4 games.
That's how you hired Matt House as your defensive coordinator.
So I think Herb is
LSU's Pete Golding.
Oh, good God!
I hate him.
Yeah, yeah.
He and Les.
LSU's a baseball school now, right? Anyway,
look, I had so much fun this baseball season that I'm not even if we were a baseball school, I'd be happy. I had the time of my life in Omaha. I could do that every year for the rest of my life and be happy.
Yeah.
Look, I'm not gonna lie to you. I was making the thumbnail for this, and I went through your photos on your X just to find a good picture to put, and I saw some of the baseball pictures, and I was like, that must be nice. I was like, that must be really nice.
I'll say it's fun. I did not really become a diehard LSU baseball fan until like after I was out of school.
Yeah.
The funniest part about all of that is that I'm now dating a former LSU baseball player. So like
that's awesome.
We were at LSU at the same time and never met because I paid zero attention to LSU baseball. Right. It was hard, but
there's a line.
Yeah, it's so funny because I just like recently in the last few years started paying attention to LSU baseball, and I was like,
good time.
I've been missing this. Like it was. Yeah. I was like, this is the most fun I've ever had in my life. I will say this, LSU baseball, I know we get, like, everyone always talks about, like, tailgating and LSU tailgates and who's the better tailgate, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
LSU baseball fans.
They don't play.
They're a different level.
They don't play.
I was like, okay, I thought LSU football fans were crazy, but, like, they tailgate for, like, at maximum 3 days. We went to Omaha, and I was like, I'm on day 12. My liver, I can physically feel my liver like
begging you, like, please,
tapping out.
And I'm like, these people are built different. Like, they're just crazy.
They don't play. LSU baseball don't play. And I'll admit, I've got people down in Baton Rouge. And so I've been to a couple of LSU baseball games. I've been to LSU. Me and my friend went to LSU baseball scrimmage before the 23 championship, the Skeens year.
Yeah.
You would have thought it was a SEC weekend game. I mean, it was packed, dude. And it was free. You just walk in and sit and watch the scrimmage. Man, you thought it was a baseball game, but I'm a big LSU baseball fan, and my wife loves Kim Mulkey, so we also like LSU women's basketball. So we do have some LSU love. I can't stand the football or the men's basketball program, so we'll split it down the middle there. But
I'll take what I can get.
Yeah, right. So I do have some LSU love because we got some people down in Baton Rouge, and we go down there once or twice a year and catch a football game and a Lady Tiger basketball game and some baseball. So
love that.
So I do got some LSU love, but
I don't have
can't stand Brian Kelly. We're a baseball school. I'm just moving
forward
with that narrative.
Right. Softball not bad either.
I don't have a lot of like LSU love in that sense, but I do have an LSU fan story. It's football, not baseball. Before the 2011 game, and if you guys remember that game, probably one of the biggest college football games of all time.
The regular season game or the playoff game?
The regular season game.
Okay.
Ooh, okay.
And so I was a student at UA there. I just gotten out of the military. I'm at Alabama. I think it's the Thursday before the game. They were doing a big pep rally that night. LSU fans are already all over the place. I'm literally sitting in a class, and these three dudes, man, in the gold and purple overalls, they've got like luchador mask on and capes, just come kicking through this lecture hall in the middle of this lecture, just screaming in people's faces. It was one of the scariest things in my entire life that's ever happened to me. And
that was mild.
Like I was really excited to go to like the big pep rally they did that night. Like Ken Stabler was there talking and stuff. And I'm like, I don't know that I feel safe like going outside. I don't think I'm just going to stay at home. like if they're just going to bust into my lecture hall, God knows what's going to happen if I'm standing out on the Walk of Champions and somebody just. It's just that's what I learned that night. Like LSU fans are a different breed, man. We are
a different breed. But
my first LSU experience at Tiger Stadium was the '96, way before your time, Joy. But the Sean Alexander breakout game, Cotton, was the '96 game. 26-zip Alabama won that game. Jared DiNardo was the LSU coach.
Mm-hmm.
But we got rocks thrown at us after that game. And I was like, I didn't do anything. I just came to the game. But yeah,
I will say they have calmed down. Like as the years have gone on, it used to be like so insanely toxic. Like I remember even as a kid going to games because I grew up in Baton Rouge. That was just like what we did on Saturdays.
Yeah,
and
it's a
like
season.
And like seeing the visiting team buses coming through and like stuff getting thrown at the buses and the buses being like shook, and I'm like, Dad, like, is this normal? Like, and he's like, It is here. Like, this is just, it's not like that anymore. We really like, I haven't heard someone tiger bait someone in a very long time.
No, there's that new chant now.
Well, that but that one is like the students. But like I remember as a kid, like I was raised to tiger bait, like grown adults.
Yeah, that was what they were yelling in my class, tiger bait.
Yeah, but like I don't. That's not really a thing anymore, which kind of makes me sad.
I haven't heard tiger bait in a while.
Nobody can sustain that for longer than a decade. That's exhausting. I mean, they go hard. We
sustained that for
They go hard.
Solid.
They don't play around. They don't play around.
Here's asking.
Yeah, they live. My people live like a mile from the campus, so it's a zip over there and zip back to their house. Or if you get out and turn left on off their street, start heading up, you can see the whole campus. Because the campus is flat, so you can just basically look across that field and you can just see everything from the box to Tiger Stadium, the softball field, all that stuff. There's nothing in your way. So they live like right there. It's like the perfect spot to go to LSU.
Look there.
So
Chris finished watching the video. Jeff, DJ, did you get a chance to see the Ole Miss video today from practice? The one where they're running through the tackle drill.
Yes, I saw it.
Interesting choice.
Chris was supposed to be on the show, but he's been watching that video on repeat in the dark for the past 2 hours. So
with a pack of cigarettes, and some beef jerky.
Hey, Chris,
Hey, we'll hit you back soon, man.
As long as you don't have an SEC pretty hat on your head, what you do is your own time.
Bingo. That's all it takes. That's all it takes.
Definitely not wearing an SEC pretty hat.
That's right. That's right. So Joey, man, we love the get back you get on people on Twitter, the pushback you get. It's funny watching you yap it up, talk trash. It cracks me up. We sure appreciate you coming on the show with us to talk about your Tigers, your Bengal Tigers, and trying to convince us why they're going to be what they are this year. But you're a very realistic fan, so that's interesting take that you look at things realistically.
Yeah, I enjoy that.
I always crack up when people are like, "Come on and convince me," and I'm like, "Oh,
dude,
I'm probably not the guest for you."
Right? We got slaughtered last year just for criticizing bad play. And it's like you're a fair weather turncoat. You're not a real fan. And I'm like, the guy played terrible. Why am I not a fan?
I got blocked for saying Jalen Milroe was inconsistent.
Yes. He had 5 turnovers and cost us 3 wins. And they're like, you're a hater, fake fan. And I was like, fake fan? I just criticized bad play.
Did you?
Well, I mean, I got when we hired Brian Kelly, I made it very obvious that I did not like the hire. And then when he made the SEC championship in year 1, in the weakest SEC I have seen probably since I was born. God, I hate it. But so everyone's coming at me. Like, are you going to take your take back yet? Like, are you da-da-da-da? And now it's like, now that we're here,
right?
All my friends are like, okay, maybe
we're on something.
You're onto something. And I'm like, I tried to tell y'all hype this man up because he did well in a weak SEC. And let's be honest, you're 1 play away from not beating Alabama. It was a miracle that you even won in the first place. I'm like, y'all have put so much stake in this man, and he hasn't been he has got us here, but I don't know that I'm that impressed.
Yeah.
And then you sit there and watch what he does the next year and just waste the talent that
I know.
And I'm
9-4 with
I'll take y'all's apologies now. now they're all flooding in, but it wasn't like that.
That's right. So yeah, you can't be realistic and stay a fan. Apparently,
not a thing.
You can't consume the data, analyze it, and be a fan.
Yeah, that's why I was like, okay, guys, I'm so fair weather that I'm not going to the season opener this year. I'm going to another game. I was like, y'all have fun in Clemson.
Enjoy
I'm not doing it.
Is it at Clemson? It's not a neutral site?
It's at Clemson. I said, y'all have fun. I'm going to a different game. Catch y'all on the flip side. I'm only going to one LSU game all year. So
there's a difference between fans and idiots. You know what I mean? And every fan base has
criticize bad play. It's like
I mean, I'm going to 14 football games. I'll go to a game every single weekend of college football season. And I will see Georgia, Ole Miss, and I think maybe Alabama play more than I'll watch LSU play.
Are you gonna come up for the LSU game in Tuscaloosa?
No, I'm not. Okay. So the goal is to go. I did my best not to repeat stadiums There's some that I'm going to have to repeat just because of college football. But I'm seeing as many new stadiums as I possibly can. I think after this, I'll only have like one SEC stadium that I haven't seen after this football season. And then I have I think I have 2 trips. Like I'm going to Notre Dame and I'm going to Iowa. So like 2 non-SEC games. But outside of that, all SEC. I'll be at Alabama at Georgia. So
that'd be a good one. I'm sorry you have to go to Iowa.
So my dad and I picked that. We do a father-daughter football trip every year. That's cool. It's always to a stadium that like neither one of us have ever been to. I know we pretty much base it off tradition, not necessarily the football team. So we love the tradition of them like waving at the kids in the children's hospital as the game is going on. So we picked that. We're going to watch Penn State at Iowa. So that's when my dad said Penn State is good. And I said, we don't know that yet. So,
won't be much offense in that game, I'm afraid.
That's what I said. I said, no one's going to score. And that's when he actually came back and said, Penn State's good. And I said, no one's good yet. We haven't seen.
How do you know? Nobody's even practiced yet till this week.
Like, okay. I'm like, okay, Dad. And Arch is winning the Heisman. He was like, okay, calm down.
Greatest of all time.
This is why Jeff got an SEC pretty high. You guys sound exactly the same. This is like every conversation.
No, it's like my spirit sister right here.
If I make like a preseason list, which 99% of the time I'm making a list just to piss somebody off and get some kind of engagement, Jeff's like, how do you know that? I'm like, I don't.
No one knows anything.
I know why, but
this has been I feel like it's talking season always produces some like idiotic takes.
Sure.
I feel like this season it's like on another level. I don't know if it's because Arch is here and so everyone's just like riding the Manning for all he's worth. And then the LSU hype that's all over the thing. And then we've got quarterback battles that aren't really battles. We've got, DJ Lagway's hurt, but he's not really hurt. Like, I'm just like, I'm like, can football start? Because I need all of you to stop talking. Like, that's
close.
It's like my post media day, new preseason SEC list. And it's like, what does that have to do? How do you re-rank something after media day?
I've never been so excited to land in Columbus, Ohio on week 1, just because I'm like, I'm actually going to get to watch 2 teams play football.
Now you can like have data.
And we're going to figure out if Texas is actually good. Like I'm going to see in person.
Have you ever been to the Horseshoe?
Never.
You're going to love it. You'll love it.
That's what I've heard. That's when it was like, I've been to Clemson too. So like, I'm real big on trying not to repeat. Like if I cannot repeat a stadium, I'm not going to. Yeah. I've been to Alabama like 7 times. I'm like, I love you, but it's a great experience every time, but I just don't want to go again. Like, I'm like, there's too many cool places to go.
Yeah. I would agree with that.
But when LSU was announced that they were playing Clemson at Clemson, originally I was like, oh, duh, I'm going. But I'm like, I traveled into 3 different time zones last year to watch you lose to USC. I'm not doing it. I'm like, I yelled in an Uber in Vegas. I called Brian Kelly Les Miles probably 72 times. So because
he banged his hand and knocked the water bottle in the air. He was upset too.
Yeah, no, he should be upset. He got embarrassed like an idiot.
Kelly does a lot of fist banging on the tables when he's getting questioned about how the hell did you lose that game?
Eric's got a good suggestion for you there.
Here's the deal. I would say I'm not going to Miami Notre Dame. I am going to Purdue.
Catholics versus convicts.
Yeah, Purdue at Notre Dame. I'm going to that game.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but no, he just needs to. I could go on a whole tangent.
It's okay. It's fine.
Just win. We talked a lot of crap all off season. Just
win.
If you don't go into Clemson and win, buddy,
yeah,
you're in for it.
That's gonna be tough. So in the SEC, and we'll take Bama off the table here. Who's the one team that, I mean, if you guys lose to in 2025, you're gonna murk someone when the game's over?
Oh, this is easy because it's just who I hate the most.
Fair enough.
We cannot, under any circumstances, lose to the Colt school in College Station. We just can't.
Fair enough. Yeah,
we can't.
It's
at home. If you lose to that school at home,
yeah, it sucks. We've done it. It sucks.
Yeah,
I'll be at that game. That's the one LSU game I'm going to. Yeah, okay, I have a fun story about y'all losing to A&M at home.
I hope somebody does.
Yeah, I was at LSU. I don't remember who we were playing, But that was that. Y'all were playing, and I worked in recruiting. So I was in our like Lawton room, which is like where our recruits were hanging out, like with their families if they didn't want to be outside, basically. So I'm in the Lawton room, and I had seen the score of the game. And so I like run outside to tell some of my like recruiting friends. And as I'm running, I can hear it in the stadium that everyone is chanting Bama lost. Like in the middle of the LSU game that's happening, all that they cared about was that Bama lost. And I think it helped that we had beat A&M, and everyone was so big on Johnny Manziel, and we were like, we just beat him, and then they beat like Alabama. It was always just funny, but it's not even like I am just over A&M thinking they're something they're not. Is really what it boils down to. Their fan base
still living off that Manziel stuff.
Well, okay, you just literally affirmed everything I've ever thought about them, because you're living off a player, not a national championship, not a college football playoff appearance, not even like an overwhelmingly impressive record. You are thriving off of one player. And before that, you have not won a national championship. And let's be clear, the one that you've won, you claimed since 1936. The amount of things that have happened in the world, like, I don't know, slavery being abolished, happened after you claimed a national championship. And you sit and talk more trash. And it's only gotten worse since your big brother showed up and also is putting you into shame. Like, just shut up until you win something that matters. Right. Like, I'm so sick of that school championing regular season wins.
Don't let it bother you. Those donkeys are going 6-6 this year. I've looked at their schedule. They're losing to you. They're losing.
Anybody that does those dances at the pep rally like that, you can't take them seriously.
And the funniest thing is, like, I on occasion will make like a funny video on social media that no one sees or that no one on Twitter sees, because I live different lives on different social media.
We understand.
Every time I make fun of an A&M thing, it goes viral, and it's always them telling me why what they're doing is normal.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
I think that's my favorite thing about social media.
I don't know who this Jay Bake person is, but they are very mad that I called A&M average, which is exactly who they are. That's where it's coming from, the fans that still talk about the Joe Burrow crab dinner. I don't know if you're aware of this, Jay Bake, but Joe Burrow won a natty. That's the whole point.
Oh,
you did.
I know the cult has brainwashed y'all, but like, holy cow, use 1 minute to think for yourself.
You can't argue the Burrow data.
No. You're still talking about Joe Burrow.
Son of a bitch.
I will say.
And Johnny Manziel stole a bunch of money. What are y'all proud of? I mean, hell.
I know Jay Bake pretty well, and he is very much I don't want to say a troll, but he's been known to rage bait a little bit. I think that might be what
a smidge.
He needs to go rage bait his head coach into winning some games that matter. How about that?
Whoa.
We need to.
He's actually an Alabama fan.
Congrats on one in your lifetime. We won two, but okay.
Okay, Jay Bake, be nice.
No, you don't bother me. It takes a lot. Like, as a girl on an app that talks about sports, you
gotta have thick skin coming into that.
Yeah, there's very few things he could say to me that would really hurt me.
He's actually a good dude. He's probably just busting.
I believe that. I'm so used to it. It just doesn't even.
Yeah, you really want to trigger some people. Start talking smack on Vanderbilt. Then they'll all come out after you. Then
nope. We had an agreement before the show. She was not to bring up Vandy. I'm just kidding.
I was like, we did.
No.
I mean,
I don't remember signing.
I didn't know Vanderbilt had a fan base until earlier, a few weeks ago. Our friends Auburn Anonymous triggered something about them, about Pavia, and they all just came out guns firing.
I'm going to be honest. I'll be okay if I never hear the name Diego Pavia again. I know that like Alabama fans have like their own reason, obviously, for not liking Vanderbilt, and you're entitled to that. But I like him coming out and being like, we're going to contend for a national championship. I'm like, buddy, please, read the room. And by the room, I mean the conference that you are in.
Yeah, relax.
Like, you beat Alabama on a fluke. Like, let's just call it what it is. And you are now quite possibly contending as for the most arrogant quarterback in the Southeastern Conference. And I'm like, buddy, please remember who you play for. Like, I'm begging you to remember who you play for.
You beat the worst Bama team in 20 years. Like, calm down.
And also you still lost some games. Like,
I don't. That's fine. That's what preseason's for. Because then by week 5, they're 3-2 or 2-3, and then it's over. And
we play Vanderbilt at Vanderbilt, and I'm like, the last time we played Vanderbilt at Vanderbilt, our host hotel ran out of vodka on Thursday night.
Clearly not a college football town.
So I'm like, hey, Diego, you might need to be careful because when those Cajuns show up, oh, buddy.
Look, I'm going to call it right now.
Clean the town out.
I'm going to call it right now. And I don't wish this to happen, but I got a feeling he's not making it through the season. He's pissed off too many people, man. He's going to get hurt this year.
Well, Vanderbilt's not that good.
I always love a good chat. Like, Vandy almost beat Texas. It's not horseshoes. It's college football.
It doesn't matter.
Right. And then someone said, I might be the only one who respects the guy. He backed up his shit talking. He's talked a lot of shit this offseason, and he hasn't done anything back.
So he hasn't backed anything up yet, but we'll see. He'll get his opportunity.
I mean, I get it at the same time, though. What he's trying to do is he upset Alabama. He's trying to build a brand off of it.
No doubt. Yeah, no doubt. And, he came back and, I'm not going to lie, when they granted him permission to come back, I was excited because he's an enjoyable guy to watch.
Yeah, it's fun to watch.
Especially if he's not playing your team, then you're like, it was
he's
so easy to root for him.
He's fun to watch.
It's just now I'm all for you being enjoyable and you playing the game and having a good time while you do it. I'm all for all of those things. I'm also just all for being aware of reality. And the reality is still that you don't even have an inch or an ounce of the talent caliber that majority of these SEC schools have. They're just going you're just going to get out talented.
Well, there's a year of film on them now.
There's a year of film. Defenses, a lot of the schools they have to play, their defenses have only drastically improved in the offseason.
Right.
I'm they are going to be so eager to lay your butt in the ground.
That's what I'm saying.
What you think worked last year is not going to work this year.
Yeah, Clark Lea better have a plan.
I mean, as good as Johnny Football was, he did not win the Heisman his second year. They lost more games his second year than his first. The book gets out.
Yeah.
You can't just rerun it back in year 2. There's too many people make too many adjustments. There's film. There's an off season. There's schemes. There's different personnel. And
the reality is you're at Vanderbilt and you're never going to be able to out recruit the schools that you are actively competing against.
Right.
You're always going to be little brother to Tennessee when it comes to sports because you genuinely cannot compete. And that's not even me being mean. It's a factual statement that even if you could somehow get the talent, they're never going to have the grades to get into the university because the university is never going to prioritize athletics over academics.
No.
And so I'm just you're almost always in a situation to fail. So if that's the case as a quarterback, be confident in your abilities. I'm all for that. And, speak confidently about your team and what y'all are bringing to the field.
Nothing to lose.
But this idea that you think that your university who hasn't competed in a national championship in football and not ever, you and A&M have that in common. Just
going in hard on it.
I hate them.
Love it. It's okay. I get it.
I didn't want them in the league when they joined the league. I was like, why are we taking this?
My grandfather is an Aggie, and
nobody's perfect.
It's
your
hard.
Poor grandfather. Your poor granddad.
He did go when it was an all military school.
Yeah.
And he now can't stand. He's he literally cannot. He's all these old men are just ruining the football program. He's pretty much become a Tiger because I went to LSU. My other cousin went to LSU. He will he will cheer for LSU at any point in time until they're playing A&M. But I've pretty much adopted him. I get to go Tigers now every now and then. And A&M fans found me on social media not too long ago and started talking about me on Texags. And my grandfather is an avid Texags guy. So I called my dad and I said, hey, heads up. They're bashing me on Texags with like my name. And like, let's be honest, my name's not everyone has it. It's pretty rare. Yeah, so I'm like, Papa's going to know they're talking about me. So you might want to warn him. And my dad's like, he won't see it.
He won't see it.
Like 24 hours later, I'm at home. I get a FaceTime from my dad. He's like, I'm at dinner with Papa. He's reading Texags. And he was like, he wants to go in on all these people. And I was like, no, don't. And he was like, why? And I was like, because it's going to be gone. And I called in a favor to good old Billy Lucci. I said, can you please delete that thread? My grandfather is having to read these things about me, and that is not okay. So Billy took care of me that day.
Well, good.
That's too funny.
DJ, before we wrap up, I got to ask you, who's winning the SEC and who's winning the Natty in 2025?
Oh, God. Who's winning
and why is it not Texas?
It's not Texas.
No, it's not.
Mainly because I as hyped as Arch is, the other thing that no one's really talking about is like he's still young. Like he's still a baby.
Yeah,
like I think he's gonna need, I'm not saying he's not gonna be good at some level. I'm saying he needs some years to toughen up. I think as the portal has come into play and as NIL's come into play, the older quarterbacks are the ones making more of a splash. And I think it might continue that way simply because I think experience is still matters. We can pretend like it doesn't. It absolutely does.
It does.
So, yeah, I don't think it's Texas. I'm still probably going to err on the Georgia side of things simply because I trust Kirby Smart. I feel like I feel like he has earned the right to get the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
And I think like some of his really tough games, i.e. y'all, like I think it being at Sanford is a benefit to him. Sure. I think he took the way that the defense performed poorly last year very personally as a guy who has developed Georgia into being like a defensive juggernaut. I think he's going to I think he's probably doing his best to make sure that unit, that side of the ball is at the caliber that he expects it to be year after year. And so I lean Georgia. I watched Gunnar Stockton play in the SEC championship, and while there were obviously some errors, I'm sitting here going like, the kid was never like, he wasn't supposed to play. Like that was never supposed to be it. And so I do lean Georgia. I will probably give Georgia the benefit of the doubt very similarly. So Alabama fans, please hear what I'm saying, to the way that I gave Alabama the benefit of the doubt for so many years. There is something to be said for a coach that has established himself as a winner, that has proven that he can reload in every way, shape, or form. Sure. I mean, like we can pretend it's not the case, but like Kirby was built by Nick, and that Kirby has built Georgia in a very similar way to the way that Nick built Alabama.
Yeah. I think with most Alabama fans, there's more of a mutual respect with Georgia because it is so similar. So I don't think you're going to ruffle too many people's feathers with that, to be honest.
Yeah, I just think it's probably Georgia until it's not for me.
Except for this guy.
I promise.
Bama by 100.
I think for me, Bama, if Ty Simpson can figure it out,
it's scary.
Which is just my biggest question for Alabama. And I think historically speaking, if Kalen DeBoer wasn't your coach, I would say I would feel differently because I watched Nick be able to win with like less talented quarterbacks. And then he had some that were just phenomenal. Yeah. But I watched Nick do more with less. I don't know if Kalen DeBoer is at the level that he can also perform at that talent level. If Ty Simpson can be a 75% good quarterback, I think Alabama is a juggernaut this year. Like I have a lot of respect for what Alabama's done in the offseason, for what Kalen DeBoer's done. I do have the same question for Kalen DeBoer. Like, can you really win when it really matters? You got to play off
That's
and
a
lost.
valid question.
It's honestly a similar question to how I feel about Brian Kelly. Brian Kelly's just been at LSU longer. But those questions I feel like are fair and normal if you just pay attention to reality, but that's asking a lot for SEC football fans. I lean Georgia until I don't, simply because I know what I'm getting with Kirby. I know what I'll probably get with that defense. And Gunnar Stockton has now had some experience under his belt, and also, has had all offseason to get ready. There was no quarterback battle. Like, it was always Gunnar Stockton. I think that there's an underappreciated value in knowing who your quarterback is when you end the season prior. And now, like, there was not a question when Georgia lost in New Orleans on January 2nd that Gunnar Stockton was the starting quarterback for the 2025 Georgia Bulldogs. And I think that is an underappreciated aspect, because they spent all season knowing that was their starter and you invested in him, versus having this, quarterback battle, if you want to call it that. I think everyone kind of knows that it's Ty Simpson, but
it is.
There's this thing when you were consistently investing in one guy because he's the guy, versus the constant questioning of who's it really going to be?
Sure. Absolutely.
Yeah. If Ty can just not turn the ball over, it's set up for him. If he does not remain the starter, it's because he was terrible. I mean, everything's in place on the offensive side of the ball for him to succeed. If he doesn't, it's going to be on him.
What's so funny is we're having this conversation about Ty, and we could also be having it about Arch, but we're not. Because his last name's Manning, and that's
he's already gone past that level of unknown. He's Arch Manning, so he's already ascended to top draft pick.
It's just so funny, as someone that's from Louisiana and watched Arch play in high school, the level of hype that he is getting is mind-boggling.
If you go watch his last high school game he ever played in,
I know,
awful, and they lost.
It was also when that was at the height of the school separation, where private schools were only paying private schools and public schools. It was an absolute. I said it when he was getting recruited that he should have never been a 5-star. I was like, if his name wasn't Manning, he wouldn't have been a 5-star.
Bingo.
It just is what it is. And I think people are like, you're a hater, and I'm like, no, he has to prove it to me, just like every other unknown quarterback in the SEC.
I don't hate just for the heck of it. There's no. He's not done anything, so you can't crown him yet.
Yeah, no, I put him on the same playing field as every quarterback that I just don't know what they're going to bring this season, and that's just really all there is to it. And I don't care about his last name or the jersey he's wearing.
You know what I'd love to do is maybe around December, kind of us all come back to the table, and just revisit some of the stuff we said in this video and how it kind of played out. Because I got a feeling a lot of us are going to be like, "See, I told you."
I'd be happy to do that. And I would also, if I'm wrong, happy to say I was wrong.
Me too. Same thing.
It's college football, and anything can happen at any level. And some people just take it so seriously, and I'm like, guys, we're all doing the same thing. We're all talking ball and what we think is going to happen, but none of us really know.
Absolutely. Well, on that note, JD, I think we've been going for about an hour and a half, so I think we're going to wrap it up here in just a second. I'm working on a migraine because it's 1,000 degrees down here in Florida. And so thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Yes. It was fun. Please tell
SECpretty.com. Go check it out. Get at your hats there.
I've sold 2 hats since the show started, so I'm going to credit that to y'all.
Well, here we go. We're going to do this.
There you go.
Quick and just kind of. This is what you get. She got one. What do you say? 14 out of 16 teams already.
Yeah, I think 14 out of 16 teams are on there at this moment. So
yeah, go grab.
Looking good.
Go help her out. Again, thank you so much for hanging out with us. It was a blast. And we'll let you go. Enjoy your evening.
Perfect. Y'all have a great night.
Bye, Joy. Thank you.
Go Tigers. Go Tigers.
Right.
That was good, man.
That was Joy. Yeah, Dailey Joy, our friend, LSU Unhinged fan. Go follow her at Dailey Joy F on X. She mixes it up, and that's what we like. We like those that get out there and just talk the trash.
J-Bake started going nuts in the chat. She's like, I don't know who this J-Bake guy is.
I don't know what he said. I didn't even see what he said. I don't have the. I was trying to keep up.
He's just talking smack.
But when she said that, I said, "Oh gosh, what did J-Bake say? Did it involve a ball sack of some kind or anything like that?"
Probably. He's like, I don't know if I should be your moderator.
All
right,
yeah, to moderate himself.
The season is on its way.
We'll
say our shorts and long form content over the next couple of days will be spotty. I got a lot of stuff going on, so just a heads up. But look, just because Bama whiffed on Tank, they got outbid. I know, I'm joking. Got outbid on Tank doesn't mean we're done. Recruiting goes all the way till December, and then we start on 2027, which is pretty cool because we just had a 5-star Alabama commit Edge. We did an interview with. You can find that over on the channel. Jabaris Garor. It was pretty good. He's fantastic. There's one part where you can hear his mom screaming in the background. I was doing it with Jacob. He's like, "Are you gonna edit that out?" I was like, "No, dude, I'm leaving that. That's awesome."
That's awesome.
So, please, if you're new here, if you're watching, you're one of those quiet lurkers, please feel free to like, subscribe, become a member. I keep putting that in the chat. You can see it. Thanks, AA, for becoming a member today.
Thank you. Yes, that's a big deal.
Absolutely. The rest of you who are here, Kat, Byron, Herb, Raj, J-Bake, of course, Bama Boy 22. All of you on here. Eric, if I forget your name.
Randy. So, yeah, Randy from How About Them Effing Dogs cast, Georgia podcast will be joining us in 2 weeks.
And then
talking about Georgia.
Yeah, in a few weeks, we're going to have on Uncle Lou. If you're not familiar with him, that should be pretty controversial. I think we're going to have to do that one as an after dark episode, just because. But all right, I'm ready to wrap it up. Let's go watch some football, folks. We have football until February. So, as always, you know the drill. Say your prayers, read your Bibles, wash your hands, horns down. Beat Auburn and LSU and Tennessee too. Roll Tide.